Hey, how's it going, guys? It's the Llamaster here, and welcome back to another Rocket League video. And in this one, guys, this one is going to be a ton of fun. Today, we are going to be talking about 12 cars that should be in the game as DLC. That's right, guys. So I came up with the idea for this video, and me and my friends just went off thinking of any famous car in either movies, TV shows, cartoons, just anything that would just be completely awesome if it came into Rocket League as DLC. Because, you know, we already have the Batmobile and, of course, the DeLorean time machine, so who's to say we couldn't get some more themed DLC cars in the near future? But anyways, some of these ideas are going to be serious that could actually make it into the game, and a bunch of them are just funny jokes that would be awesome if they were included, but will most likely only be in Rocket League as mods. But anyways, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like down below. It only takes a second and it helps me out a ton. And without further ado, guys, let's get into it here with the first car. Alright, guys, so starting off this episode strong, oh my goodness, we had to go with the frickin' Patty Wagon from the Spongebob movie. That's right, guys, the twin deep fryer powered burger machine needs to be in Rocket League. Like, just look at this thing. It's so beautiful. It needs to be in Rocket League. It's a frickin' drivable burger. What couldn't be better for Rocket League DLC than this car right here? I honestly don't know, but of course, with this, you could have some really cool additions to it. Like, you know, you could have a custom boost that sprays out like ketchup and mustard and pickles, or honestly whatever is on a Krabby Patty. I really don't know. But then you could also have the pickle wheels. That would honestly make a quality car. Now this one, of course, pretty much has zero chance of coming into the game and hasn't even been created as a mod. So, you know, if you're a modder out there, freaking get on this, because I would love to see it, or even download and play as the Patty Wagon, because it just needs to be done. Now moving on with the SpongeBob theme, how about just a regular boatmobile? You know, the car that SpongeBob is always trying to get his license in, but is always freaking running into buildings and blowing stuff up, that literally drives his teacher to the point of insanity. That would be a car that could definitely make it into DLC. But yeah, this one probably has no chance at all, as well as making it into the game. But you know, we can still hope and we can still dream that this somehow makes it into the game. But even if it would make it into the game, this one you wouldn't really have to do that many additions for. Because, you know, you already have the Hydro Boost, which sprays out water, which would fit absolutely perfectly. Or, of course, you could literally just do the Bubbles Boost, which fits the car in the cartoon freaking spot on. So yeah, I don't know, but just imagine a boatmobile driving around doing freestyles. And now that I think about it, they could have released this car with the Aquadome update. That would have been so perfect. Psyonix, you missed a freaking huge opportunity here to include the boatmobile in the game, and nobody would bat an eye. Okay, yeah, they probably would, but either way, this car would be amazing. And you know, maybe a visible boatmobile isn't your thing. What if you go with the superhero route and instead have the invisible boatmobile? That's just amazing. Psyonix, sign me up right now. I will be your creative director from now on, because this car you wouldn't even have to do any programming for. You wouldn't have to make a visual model. You wouldn't have to create a boost for it. You wouldn't even have to do the wheels for it. You literally just slap an invisible box in the game, call it the invisible boatmobile, and you are freaking ready to go. Now, don't give me that crap that it's overpowered, because it's not. It'd just be an invisible car that you can't see hitting the ball, or can't even predict where it's going. Alright, I get it. This one would be overpowered. But yeah, if you're not Sherlock Holmes and you couldn't detect that that one was a complete joke, yeah, it was. That one is never going to make it in the game. But you know, one car that definitely could make it into the game is the Mutts Cuts dog van from Dumb and Dumber. Now, if you have not seen Dumb and Dumber, you have to go out, buy it on DVD, or freaking find it online and watch that movie through. It is such a quality movie, and one of the best parts right at the beginning and also throughout the movie is when they're driving around the frickin' Mutts Cuts van. Just look at this thing. Couldn't you see this thing driving around in Rocket League with its ears flapping around in the wind and its tail wagging back and forth as it's going up for aerials? And holy crap, I just noticed, where would the boost come from? Yeah, that would fit Rocket League perfectly. You know, having some orange propulsion gel coming out of the back of the Mutts Cuts van. That would go well with reviews. I think that would be a quality product to add into the game. But either way, you have to admit that this one would be freaking hilarious. I honestly don't know if I could play against an opponent that was driving around in this car, freaking just smashing the ball with the front of its head. I would just die from laughter. That would be hilarious. Now, so far, we've talked about a lot of just funny cars, so let's get into one that is more serious and has already kind of been in the game, but this is the Batmobiles from Batman. Now, we've already had the one, but let's talk about the more popular car that hasn't been in the game yet, and that is the Tumbler from The Dark Knight. Now, this is sick, and it's so freaking iconic. It's got such a unique shape that it could definitely make it as an additional DLC. Now, again, I already know we have the Batmobile itself, but this one is so much different from that one that it could definitely be a legit downloadable content item. To be honest, I don't even really recognize the other Batmobile, but this one is way more iconic, especially since it's more relevant, and it's just a freaking sick car. I mean, look at this thing. It's literally designed to do air rolls. It's perfect. Now, as for another Batman-ish typed vehicle, how about the purple Lamborghini from Suicide Squad? Now, I know that movie pretty much absolutely sucked. I didn't think it was terrible, you know, if you took it at face value and just enjoyed the random freaking fight scenes. It was alright, you know, the story was lacking, and it didn't really make much sense at all, but you know, it was cool. And one of the coolest things from that movie was the purple Lamborghini that the Joker drives. Now, what's sad is we barely got to see any of this car, as the Joker drove it off into the freaking water like he was a psychopath or something. That's a joke, by the way. But overall, it's a very cool car, and it wouldn't really even need to be the Lamborghini from this movie. Why can't we just get a Lamborghini by itself or some sort of high-end sports car as a DLC item? We've kind of had that with the Dominus GT, but we've never really had a Lamborghini type car, and I think it would fit perfectly within the game. Now, speaking of cars fitting perfectly within the game, this next one has everything it needs to be a Rocket League car. Now, the one I'm talking about right here is the Magic School Bus. That's right, the one Mrs. Frizzle, whatever her name is, drives in that show that we all used to watch in school. This one, out of kind of all of the cars, would just fit so well. I mean, it's already a car that can turn into a rocket ship. You know how we have the DeLorean and how it turns into a hovercraft? This could do that by going from a school bus straight to a rocket ship like it does in that show. Now, even though it's a cartoon, I think that makes up for it perfectly. Having that sort of dynamic change in modes as you go up for an aerial, it changes into rocket ship mode. That would be awesome, and I could actually see that maybe being a DLC. As for the next car here, we won't talk about this one a ton because it's probably one that not many people know about, and it's kind of an old one, but this is the Dukes of Hazzard General Lee car. Now, this one I put in because it's such an iconic car from sort of older movies, and I guess it wouldn't really fit at all in a game that's more family friendly and has a diverse audience, but it's still a very cool car and definitely an iconic one. And in general, having sort of this older muscle car would be sick to have in Rocket League. I don't really think we have it at all. You know, actually, you kind of have it with the Dominus, but if we had one that more looks like this, that would be a very cool addition and definitely something that I would buy. Moving on again here, this one is already a car that has kind of been in the game in terms of a mod, but this is the Mystery Machine from Scooby Doo. Now, if you think it looks familiar, that is because it looks so close to the Merc. Like, look at this mod that was created by Speed Glitcher that overlaid a texture of the Mystery Machine on the Merc, and it is just simply spectacular. Just look at it. It is literally the Mystery Machine in Rocket League. So, you know, this one wouldn't even really need to be a DLC car as much as a decal for the Merc. Like, if you add in that decal, I would be more than happy to put that on. I would actually switch to the Merc as my main car. It would just be amazing. And then on top of it, you could put on the Halloween items, like the boost you saw in the image, or putting like a pumpkin on top. That would just be spot on. Now, keeping with this car ghost chasing theme, let's go with another famous one that is the Ecto Mobile from Ghostbusters. Now, this again is definitely one that I could actually see being in the game, mostly because it's a real life car, it's really iconic, and it's got a ton of unique detail to it. Like, in fact, I think it's a lot like the DeLorean. It's got all those random wires and stuff coming off of it that make it really recognizable, but it could still be a car in Rocket League. Now, the only thing that I think holds this one back is that it's not quite as popular as the DeLorean, which you know can be attributed to that one date that was predicted in the movie that got a lot of hype around Back to the Future going. But still, I think this car could definitely make it in as a DLC item, and I think it would actually look really cool. As for the last two cars, these ones come from the movie Transformers. Now, you can probably already tell where I'm going with this one, but the first car that I think should be included is Optimus Prime, or more importantly, when he's driving around as the Semi. So this is another one that is really iconic, and this one is a lot more relevant than the Ghostbusters one. So I could definitely see this one being included. Now, on top of that, we don't have a Semi, and it's got a very unique shape that makes it different from all the other ones that we see a ton in the DLC cars with everything that's so unique about about them, and I really think this one would fit in perfectly. Now, I wish they could include some way that it like transformed into a jet as it's flying through the air. That would be sick, but it doesn't really fit in with Transformers. They kind of just turn into characters instead of another vehicle, and having an airplane would be definitely pretty tough to include in the game, but overall, I definitely think it would be a very nice addition. Now, as for the second Transformers car and also the last car of this video, I had to go with Bumblebee. This car is just so sick from the movie. I believe it's a Dodge Charger, but either way, again, it's iconic and looks so sick and clean that it could definitely be included. Now, along with this, it could also kind of go along the route of the Lamborghini, which we already talked about, and just be included as a high-end sports car DLC item. Again, that would just be really cool to have sort of real-life cars straight into the game. Now, that might not quite fit with the sort of futuristic theme of most of the cars in Rocket League, but they could always do sort of slight changes to them to make it fit in more seamlessly. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I know we talked about a ton of cars, but I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to leave a like down below. It only takes a second and it helps me out a ton. And do not forget to comment another idea for a car down below in the comments. I'd love to see what ideas you guys come up with. But other than that, guys, again, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm the Llamacer, and I will see you guys next time.
The highest rate of radiation in this tiny, pitiful rock.